I mean, the biggest issue is you see ads of Ozempic on TV.
The blockbuster drug Ozempic.
Drugs like Ozempic.
Drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy.
You can now find Ozempic and Wegovy at Costco.
With the generics flooding the market this year, these drugs could change how millions of people eat, drink, shop, and live.
So it's influencing people's minds already that there's a shortcut. We're creating a generation that's actually going to get sicker. Muscle wasting, the biggest, 22 to 40% of muscle wasting. That's a bigger issue for women and men because that'll upset their hormonal profile. Person started a drug, started losing weight, getting compliments from the world. Suddenly the doctor tapers down the drug. Appetite comes back. They can't control it because they couldn't control it before the drug. The weight comes back on. These people slip into depression. They don't leave their homes. Stress is real. But the point is, chronic stress is our choice. It's our choice.
What do you think is the biggest threat to women's health today?
You look at a young girl who has PCOS, and there are many young girls who don't have PCOS. What are they doing differently? Young girls, middle-aged women, women in perimenopause and menopause have two commonalities: sleep. But that is your root cause.
So even while I'm sitting with you, it's so sad, but I have thought about 11 other things that are irrelevant to our conversation today because there's just that much that I have to coordinate or take care of, and I have 2 babies. And it's just, I don't know, it's just how we've made life normal for us.
That's a dysregulated nervous system, not for you, for everyone. But if I'm choosing that position of ambition and to move faster, I got to make myself bulletproof. Oat milk is not even a discussion point. It's like trash. Ghee is a superfood. It's unbelievably fantastic. The biggest lie in India around health is we blame our genes for it. Type 2 diabetes is reversible.
If someone watching this can change one habit tonight after watching this episode, what do you think it should be? Every year, there's a new rule about what I should eat. Ghee is bad, ghee is good, protein shakes, chia seeds. So when I sat down with Luke Coutinho, I was expecting another list of things I'm doing wrong. This man went from being a rave DJ in Goa in the 90s to 10 years at IBM co-writing a national bestseller with Shilpa Shetty, coaching Mahesh Babu and being chosen by PM Modi as India's Fit India champion. And he spent 13 years sitting with dying patients, some of who outlived the diagnosis by years. His core argument is going to make you want to call your grandmother and apologize. Because everything she did in that kitchen, the ghee, the dal rice, the haldi doodh, he has the science to prove she was right and we were wrong to stop. Also the man who just spent an hour telling me to trust my grandmother's kitchen. I asked him about Ozempic. His answer will surprise you. It certainly surprised me. So welcome, Luke. We've been so excited to have you here today, and I have to say, more than me, my community has been waiting for this episode. So thrilled to have you here. Thank you for making the time.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm happy it's worked out. Yeah, thank you.
So, Luke, millions today trust you with their health, and I think thousands trust you with their life. But very few know that you were a rave DJ back in Goa. So we need to kind of dive into the origin story.
So, it was part of what I did in college. It's a very simple story. My cousin owned a restaurant in Anjuna. At that point, you had Disco Valley around, you had 9 Bar, you had Bamboo Forest. They were all surrounding these areas. And you had the real hippie culture in Goa at that particular point. Very, very different from the raves today. So it was more of community. It was more of people gathering together. It was never about drugs. It was never about alcohol. It was about great music, a full moon, and people socializing and dancing from sunset to sunrise in the morning. So I happened to be in that phase of life where I was right there. And it just happened by default. I would be sitting with these DJs, watching them play. And then one fine day, a DJ didn't turn up. He had a gastric issue and he was hospitalized. And my uncle was like, just go play something. You've been watching these guys all the time. Just go play something. So I did a 2-hour set, and a lot of people walked up and said, hey, you're good. And I started shadowing a couple of DJs. And so it was just for a couple of weekends over 2 years that I really got to, play a couple of sets at these really good rave parties. And that's it. I didn't take the career further post that, because once I finished college, I got into work and stuff like that. I played on the side. I played for a few private parties here and there. But that was it. That was the story. Yeah.
I love that. I love that transition. And it's also kind of I don't know, it humanizes Luke Coutinho for us, right? Which is where kind of it stems from. But when we talk about the transition, I know that, and I read somewhere that you were one day sitting with a dying patient and that completely changed your life. What happened there? And is that how you kind of entered the industry?
No, not really. I entered the industry and then had the privilege of sitting with, patients who were dying. Because at that particular point, people came to me when they were sent home by hospitals on palliative care. That, hey, there's no more medicine, go home, change your diet, change your lifestyle. So people started coming to me at end stage. So some of them came when it was too late. So I would spend a lot of time sitting with them, whether it was in hospitals or meeting them at their private homes. That time, life allowed me to make private home visits, or I visited many hospitals, just locally, Lavati, and I would be with patients for a couple of times. And there was only one thing that I figured talking to these patients. There was a lot to learn from them, how to live your life, how not to live your life. But the bigger part of it, which is why I remodeled the way we work and moved away from nutrition. I mean, nutrition is a huge part, but exploring other parts that are necessary for prevention as well as recovery and treatment. Because I realized that most of these patients who had reached end stage, most of them didn't have to be there. They didn't have to be there if they had done certain things differently. So while, of course, at different stages of cancer, a stage of cancer is dependent on the medication you have. So a stage 4 doesn't mean it's a death sentence. It just means that there are fewer medical options left to treat you. But then when you look at what else did these patients do? None of them had looked at nutrition. None of them had looked at sleep. None of them had looked at exercise or movement. A few were doing it sporadically. No one looked at emotional health and the connection with the suppression of the immune system. So these were little gaps that I was picking up over and above the philosophical part, where most of these patients who were dying never ever spoke about who they were in life, whether they were CEOs. They never spoke about how much money they had. They never spoke about what they did or what they achieved. All of them spoke about things like love, lost love, memories. They kept on speaking about, hey, Luke, this memory, that memory. And I just realized if this is what people speak about in their dying days, these are the most important things that we should actually be looking at in our present life. While we all work hard, we all do everything, but we shouldn't push this on the back end, because it becomes regret, and it usually comes out at the time you're ending life. And if that's what people are talking about, I believe that's what we should all be working on while we're building busy lives or building businesses. We shouldn't forget to create memories. We shouldn't forget that lifestyle is an important part of it. We shouldn't forget to look at the most powerful energies like love. Doesn't have to come from a partner, doesn't have to come in a relationship. It can come from a parent, from siblings, from everywhere. But these are powerful energies, and these are what people speak the most and miss the most.
Wow.
So yeah, it didn't really get me. I honestly don't have a sad story that got me into health. I didn't have weight problems. I didn't have any sickness. No, it was just my fascination for anatomy. It was my falling into a classroom of nutrition during hotel management, where I really liked how food worked with the human body, and that's about it. I didn't have any other story that got me into this line.
But at a personal level, I know of the incredible impact you've had. And like I was just mentioning to you, you've helped one of my best friends. And that's a personal story. What do you think you have done differently, right, that has been able to actually drive real impact and real change in someone's health?
So I'll be honest with you, I just choose to believe differently. Like while I sit here today, I have a team of people who are more qualified than I am. They've studied a lot more. A lot of them have done PhDs, etc. And I'm grateful to have that team. But when I look at the impact of cases that we have, which are like life-changing, and differences that we've made, it's just because I've chosen to believe that there is always something that can be done. And there is always something beyond a medicine. We're an integrative medicine. As I speak to you, my patients are on steroids, are going through chemotherapy. But I've always chosen, to believe that, hey, there is something more. When you look at the beauty of the human body, there is an intelligence in all of us. And I think we've complicated things. We're dependent more on our magnesium. We're dependent more on exercise, on a steroid, on a paracetamol. It's all okay. If you need it, take it. But we forget that there's an intelligence in our body trying to keep us alive, trying to repair. And something's coming in between that intelligence. And my belief was, if we can change the environment within us, give your body that perfect environment for its intelligence to work. And then let medicine do its role, let nutrition do its role. And that's been our success point. So even a case of extreme lupus or autoimmune, change the environment of the body. We'll never tell a patient stop the steroid. Change where your nutrition is wrong. Look at why is your immune system attacking your body? Why is it attacking your body? It's supposed to attack germs and pathogens. But why is it attacking your body? What signaling is wrong? And when you get deeper into that, you figure out it's like a piece of a puzzle. You learn to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Fit in sleep. No extremes, a little more. Fit in activity, no extremes. Fit in nutrition, no extreme diets. What is necessary? Remove what is not necessary. And then the body just kicks in. So our success is the intelligence of the body doing its work, not really directly what we're doing.
I know you love our content. I don't doubt it one bit. But I'd love if you can prove it to me by hitting the subscribe button. It's just 3 inches away from your thumb. Hit it and let's build the largest women content community in India. And in changing the environment, are you primarily talking about changing what we put inside our body?
Oh,
with
there's a
our
lot.
Food and our nutrition? Or is that how you would primarily?
It's everything. Today, more than food and nutrition, it's the thoughts that get into our system and they trigger cortisol and adrenaline. They move us into a sympathetic nervous system. No one can heal in a sympathetic nervous system. We only heal in parasympathetic. We repair in parasympathetic, which is why when you fall, you have a wound. The scab never grows during the day. It can only grow while we're sleeping. So the environment is, how do we spend more time in the parasympathetic nervous system? Now, yes, the environment is dependent on the food that we eat. So it could be the right food or wrong food. So I always say the food that we eat, we're either feeding disease or we're feeding health. It's as simple as that. Then movement creates the right environment. We're sedentary, we have the wrong environment. We're overtraining, we have the wrong environment, hormonal imbalance. Then sleep is the biggest environment creator for us. Sleep deprived, huge issues. Today, sleep deprivation is directly connected with cancers, cardiovascular, Alzheimer's, etc. And then our emotional state of mind. We could be having the healthiest food, the most movement, but if we're in a toxic environment, if we're in an unsupportive relationship, in an abusive relationship, or environment outside, we're eating the best food, but we're breathing in polluted air. So you see, environments form the way our DNA signals.
Can we talk about sleep a bit here, Luke? Because that usually becomes a factor that people think they have no control over. I think it's the single most problem that people have accepted there's no solution to.
You know,
How does one solve for sleep?
Yeah, it's first with a mindset change, because people choose their difficulties based on priorities. So if someone values sleep more than Netflix, they will sleep. But if they value entertainment more than sleep, they will choose entertainment. So these are not problems that people have. These are issues of perception. So they say the most dangerous form of blindness, okay, is believing that our perspective is the only reality. So if we believe that, oh, my work is important, I don't have time to sleep, guess what? That's exactly what happens. So it's not really an issue, it's not normalized. People have chosen something more valuable than sleep. It's always a value proposition. And there are people who will value their sleep and they will say, I function great with 8 hours of sleep, so I actually have a 16-hour day. That's me. I have a 16-hour day. I don't plan around 24 hours because 8 hours is mandatory for my sleep. So now if I want to do a lot, I got to fix it into 16 hours. So we work backwards. The point is, sleep is the easiest thing to compensate, right? Okay, I'll sleep next week. I'll sleep on the weekend. I can do this. I can get this in. But the point is they all come down to choices, because everyone isn't sleep deprived. The ones who make sure their sleep happens are the ones who value their sleep and have made choices or ability to sleep. And the second misconception, again, which is a perception breakdown, is, are all the most successful people in the world sleep deprived? And the answer is no. In fact, you'll find most of the successful people prioritize sleep. So showing us two things, that we can be successful and we can sleep. So it leaves us with a choice. What are we choosing? But you are right, sleep is the most powerful foundation of prevention as well as healing and recovery for the human body.
And you heal best when you're sleeping.
You can only heal in the parasympathetic nervous, and this is what people need to believe. When you're taking your magnesium or you're taking your chemo, nothing's happening at that point. Nothing's happening at that point. There's a reason why we sleep. We grow while we sleep. Look at the example of a small infant. Why do they sleep for 18 hours? And then as they grow up, it reduces to 16, 14, 12, 9, 7. As growth gets complete, your sleep cycles decrease. So all growth, repair, everything, all the magic happens while you sleep.
So let's take a real example and talk about this.
Sure.
I had to wake up at 7 a.m. this morning, and I prioritize sleep, and I'm someone who really values it and understands the importance of it. And today's a shoot day, right? So I want to be at my best. I want my brain to be performing at its optimum. I want to be able to be everything that I need sleep for.
Yeah.
But I was still lying in bed at 12:30, and sleep was evading me. What does one do at that point?
So at that point, the only reason why sleep evades us, because if we're in the sympathetic nervous system, okay, we can't sleep. We can only sleep when we're in the parasympathetic nervous system, because parasympathetic is where the body can actually rest, digest, repair, and heal. So if your mind was thinking, so the idea, the best thing at that particular point is to switch your mind from thinking. That's where we do a little bit of breath work. That's where it's also dependent why you were awake till 12 o'clock. Sometimes, example, not you, if we had caffeine late, or we had a late workout, or we played a late game of paddle, or something like that, the body's too energized to sleep. The next thing is, if it's not that, what am I thinking about? Because when we're in a state of thinking, we're still in fight and flight. We're in parasympathetic, it becomes difficult to sleep. We may be physically tired, but our mind is awake.
So for me, it was my mind.
Yeah.
Because I don't drink coffee, and I didn't have a late workout. I mean, I didn't work out, to be really honest.
Okay.
But what was it? So how do I switch? How do I implement this change? How do I switch to parasympathetic?
The best way is your breath. Again, natural intelligence of the body. If we want to move from sympathetic to parasympathetic, we can do it in less than 2 to 3 minutes by slowing down our breathing. So when we're thinking, our breath's going to be a little faster, heart rate's going to be higher. That signifies sympathetic. So if I'm parasympathetic, I slow down my breathing. So let's say my inhale is 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to make your exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1:2. If it's 3, 6. Now by slowing down your breathing, what happens inside your body? Cortisol and adrenaline drops. As cortisol and adrenaline drops, you start to feel more calmer, more relaxed. Or if you can't stop the thoughts, that's when you listen to a little bit of, calming music. You try to meditate. If that works for you, that never works for me. So it's either music or it's breath work. Make the room as dark as possible, because the darker it is, the more melatonin we produce. Room should be comfortable, temperature should be right. But the chatter of the mind has to reduce for the body to know it's safe. See, what most people miss is if the mind's thinking, before sleep, there's a lot of intelligence happening. Our body even scans our sleep area to make sure it's safe. We're still primal human beings. We are still looking for protection and safety. There's a lot that happens. So your eyes actually scan your room. Is this place, because I'm going to sleep for 8 hours. I don't want to be eaten by an animal. I don't want to be attacked by someone. Safety is a core need of the body. So when the mind's constantly thinking, the body keeps you in fight and flight. So it's important, create a nice mellow lighting in your room, dark, or read a book. Anything that distracts your mind will slowly move the chatter down. And that's how you fall into sleep. But I'll be honest with you. I want to be practical. If you're super excited about something, that can also not make you sleep. And that's something nice once in a way. You're so excited about the next day and you're all excited. You won't be able to sleep because your cortisol and adrenaline is high. So sometimes that's absolutely okay.
There are so many people who are on sleeping tablets on a daily basis. Is it possible to move out of that habit?
Of course, absolutely. But again, I always say there's a breakdown in every form of medicine in our healthcare system today, not just allopathy, whether it's nutrition, lifestyle medicine, Ayurveda, homeopathy, etc. Everything's fragmented. The point is a sleeping medicine can be used as a crutch for a short period of time. In India, it's common to find someone who's been on sleeping pills for 4 to 5 years nonstop. Now, I will be honest, getting those people off those medications takes a lot of time. It's still possible. A lot of time because the body's gotten used to it. But when we are given a sleeping medication, we also have to make lifestyle changes. So today, people misuse it. I'll sleep at 2 a.m. because I have a sleeping pill. So you're not allowing your circadian rhythm to actually set for you to actually improve your sleep at a root cause level. And they have their side effects. Every medicine has their side effects.
What does a sleeping tablet do to your brain?
How does a sleeping tablet work? The mechanism is slowing you down. your neurotransmitters. It works at a level of your serotonin, your dopamine, and your GABA. After a while, most people are on sleeping pills. They wake up in the morning, but they're groggy. Their metabolic activity slows down. Some of them start to put on weight. Because it's working, it can't just put you to sleep. It has to put you to sleep by relaxing your entire body. So this happens with a lot of people who misuse melatonin as well. If they take it after midnight or too close to midnight, they sleep, but they wake up feeling groggy and tired and not wanting to work up, because melatonin also just works on that. It just slows you down completely. So the point is, sleeping medications are actually a problem. It's used for the right ways. Like, we have patients who are going in for surgery. They can't sleep. They're so tensed. The doctor gives them a sleeping medication. We want you to sleep because it's better if you have a good night of sleep before you take your chemotherapy or your surgery. But I think it's very important that healthcare assesses and asks the right questions. If you need a sleeping pill because of some behavioral issue in your life, take the pill. But if you're not going to work with that behavior, you're going to become dependent on the pill. And after a while, that 1 mg and 2 mg is not going to work. And then the doctor increases the dosage. And that's what chronic illness is. Medicine has to be used strategically. It can be used for a while, but the patient's making behavioral changes, trying to improve their sleep consistency, trying to eat their meals earlier. And then as they start to sleep better, the doctor starts to wean them off that medication. Now, there are patients who will go through trauma, extreme trauma, who will need sleep medication to sleep. Some of them will need sedatives to sleep. But again, that has to be done in a way with counseling on the side. So you're getting better, and eventually the medicines can be weaned off.
So it's a temporary crutch and not a permanent solution.
Most medicine should always be used as a temporary crutch, except in very few cases where people have to be on a lifelong medicine because of a medical condition for a lifetime. But medicine should only be used as a crutch, and that's what lifestyle medicine is. Oh, you're on thyroid medication put by your doctor. Great, please take your medication. And then let's figure out why your thyroid is misbehaving. Repair it. Starts dropping, your doctor starts reducing your medicine. That's how it's supposed to work. After a while, your BP is in place, your doctor realizes you don't need medicine anymore. Your doctor stops your medication because you change your lifestyle and you address the root cause of the problem.
Luke, do you have a favorite miracle story?
Oh, I have so many.
Tell us a few.
There are so many I see, and that's what keeps me going. I mean, you see miracles and you just believe there's a higher power in life. You know, people say, are you religious? No, I'm spiritual. I believe. I think there's a beauty in every single religion. Actually, there's a commonality in every religion. It's just that the middle people have misconstrued the meaning of religion, made it fanatical, made it personal, etc. But every religion has commonalities that they speak about. And all of us see miracles in our day. It's just our ego and pride that comes in the way that stops us from seeing a miracle. So when I see a 4th stage cancer patient who was sent home with 2 weeks left to live and 2 months, but living 10 years later, it's a miracle because there is no food that can take away a cancer. The patient was already palliative, which means they were not on medication anymore, but they're living. They've challenged everything in medical science and nutritional science and lifestyle medicine. These are miracles, other miracles. When you see a patient, okay, suffering in hospital, the medicines, okay, no, let's change, not responding to treatments, nutrition, okay. And this patient has just one wish. I've not spoken to my brother for years. We had a fight. I just wish my brother would speak to me. We do everything to try to get that brother down. The brother flies in, spends 30 minutes with this person. Next day, the blood work is better. And even the doctors say, listen, your brother's the medicine. These are miracles because it shows us the power of love and bonding, how it can sometimes be. It's not a replacement for medicine, but it can be more powerful than medicine. I have miracle stories. I've spoken about it so many times. A 72-year-old, now she'll be probably 79, walks into my clinic, but the children come in first. And they say, hey, Luke, our mom's going through cancer. We're not telling her she's getting chemo. She just thinks she's getting IV vitamins and minerals. And we want to keep that story. I said, that's amazing. Throughout her journey, and she went through almost 35 cycles of chemo, which is very harsh for the body, not a single side effect, not even losing her hair. She didn't know what she was getting, this placebo effect. So now we see placebo effects. Some people call placebo effect pseudoscience. It's impossible because every pharmaceutical drug that comes into mainstream pharmacies have to go through a placebo study. It goes through a study because placebos are real. But I see placebos as miracles because it's the power of your mind. She didn't know what she was getting. So she didn't have any fear. She didn't know that chemo makes you lose your hair. And she was my most radiant patient. I mean, there are miracles like this which you see. You see patients who have tumors, and after a while, they're shrunk completely. Even the doctor doesn't know what it is. They don't know what it is. We love to believe that the body found its intelligence to heal, but I see those as little miracles every day. I think when human beings stop living from a pedestal of ego and pride, we start to feel very humble. Like we all think we've done something to achieve what we have. But till today, I'll say it openly, every success of my patient is not me. I know there's a higher power. Whether it's working through my team or me, there is, because I know what the limitations of nutrition are. I know what the limitations of medicine are. So something's working beyond that. And when you train your mind to find these little miracles in life, I think that's what makes us change our perspective about life, higher powers, and that, we're not alone. We need to align with the right energies because we're not doing everything in our life. Everyone's success is not their only doing. There are so many little things that, if I can share another story with you, like I'm a huge believer of randomness, but so like people cry at a funeral, okay? Oh, my dad died, etc., etc., etc. It's sad, of course, but now, what happened because your dad died? All right? There was an inheritance that came to the son who could set up a business because he didn't have money before that. When you break down little things, they're not perfect moments. Someone dying is not a perfect moment, but it created several other moments after that. We have to train our minds to see the randomness of life. Sometimes someone dies, someone passes on. I have a lot of my cancer patients who a year or 2 years later say, Luke, I'm happy I got my cancer. It changed me as a person. Today I know which relationships to stay in. I know to look after my health. I know I should leave this toxic job. So you see, these are little things that become miracles in their life. So I believe there are good moments, bad moments. We term them and we allow them to control us. But practicing acceptance, which is very difficult. I'm not perfect at that either. But every moment is the way it should be. We may not like it, but it's the way it should be. And, we train our minds to find little miracles. It just is what real motivation is. It keeps us going.
And let me move this to something actionable for our community. Because every single person who's tuning in today is dealing with something.
Yeah.
Health-wise, right? And it could be a deep problem. It could be something that's smaller in nature, right? So there could be someone who's dealing with a serious health issue. There could be someone who's dealing with hair fall or gut health. Let's just talk about the mind and tell us how can they action and how can they change their mind to even open it up to miracles, to even open it up to letting the intelligence of our body take over and do its work.
Yeah, I think it's a change of perception.
Okay.
Because we all believe, let's take the hair problem for right now. The moment someone has a hair problem, men or women, okay, they'll think of biotin, they'll think of the next supplement, can collagen help? They've immediately moved to an external circumstance. So if biotin worked, there should never be a hair problem, right? It should work for everyone. Everyone will find a way to buy biotin. If collagen worked, everyone would have the most beautiful skin. It does have its pros and cons on side, but it's not that one thing that fixes, because people are already created a sense of fear, and the only dependency is that a supplement can fix it. We need a perception change. A supplement can be a crutch, but the change inside is, why is my body losing hair? Why is my hair thinning? And then break it down. Have I changed my shampoos? Am I stressed out? Do I have gut problems? Is my monthly cycle in order, or do I have issues with progesterone? And, so many things. Has the weather changed? But because our mind, it's no one's fault. We're trained to look for shortcuts and quick fixes, which don't exist. Every 3 months, there's a new shortcut, there's a new fix. First it was protein, now it's fiber. The world's just moving on, but people have to. So if you want my honest advice, take a break from social media, or from at least the accounts that confuse you. Follow people, follow accounts that inspire you, but not confuse you. Instagram never solved a hair problem ever. Nor did it solve a cancer, nor did it solve diabetes. We get ideas from there. I'm on social media, I follow accounts that inspire me, that can change my perspective. So I think it's important for us. At the same time, I don't want people to sit at home thinking that a miracle will make their hair grow. I want them to think that I need to do the right things and face it. Because a lot of women come in sleep deprived, 5 hours. And my only thing to them is, first improve your sleep. And the ones who do that, their hair starts to get better. The ones who fix their gut problems, their hair starts to get better. Take the biotin if you want, but you also need to do this. That's what foundational medicine is. Do what you want, but have you got the foundation right? So I think my message for all of the audience is slow down. Look at the problem, it's there. But if you're stressing more around it, I think the one thing women have to understand is that chronic stress is one of the biggest issues for hair and skin. So the more you stress about it, the more you're going to lose it. So the point is, I understand vanity, I understand it's important to women and men and everything else, but step back. Is anxiety going to fix the problem? Is rushing through going to fix the problem? No, step back, be calm, relax. What's changed in my life? What's changed in my food? What do I know could be the cause of hair? And just slowly start working with that. So my message would be slow down, because we can't see miracles when we're moving too fast in life. We have to be in a state of, slow down, calm, of reflection to actually see that, wow, that's unbelievable. Some people got back from Dubai, some didn't. Some will see it as luck, some will see it as, oh, I use my influence to get back. Some people will just see it as a blessing. Everyone sees it different because they have different perspectives. So there are miracles around us all the time and even right now. But we got to be in that state to see it and receive it.
What do you think is the biggest lie we've been told about our health?
Geographically, should I speak for India alone?
Yes, yes, please.
Because it's different in every country.
Okay, how interesting.
Yeah, it's different. Like in America, in the Western world, people think that it's only a medicine that you turn to when you're sick. In India, we turn to alternative medicine. We'll say, first, let's go look at some Ayurveda. Let's look at that, which is great. I have nothing against Ayurveda. I think Ayurveda is beautiful until it starts making unscientific claims, or Ayurveda telling a cancer patient that don't do chemo, do Ayurveda. There is a place for everything. And I believe India has so much of scope to put Ayurveda on the map of the world, give it to the world as a gift. All you need to do is put it into a scientific framework, okay, and look at safety. There are beautiful, I have miracle patients too. On dialysis, went to an Ayurvedic doctor, they're off dialysis. Something worked. So I'm not going to trash that form of medicine, it's beautiful. Now, can scientists put a framework? Can they put the science to it? Can they stop telling people that choose this instead of that? No, it's always a system. I think Ayurveda is amazing for prevention. It's amazing for detoxification. It's amazing for so many things. But the moment someone tells a cancer patient, stop your chemo because I have this Ayurvedic herb, there's a huge issue over here. There's a huge issue. But now you're a scientist, study, show that they work together, show that one's better than another, and give people a choice. So I think the biggest lie in India around health is we blame our genes for it. That, oh, my dad had diabetes, I have diabetes. No, type 2 diabetes is reversible. You've inherited diabetes as well as the poor lifestyle. You can change. And the second thing, which is the biggest lie that we tell ourselves, is like, we have to put our family first, our job first, and everything else, and then our health. We've been put into that pressure for the longest time that your health is last. First, make sure you get your engineering degree, make sure you become a doctor, make sure your daughter's married, make sure she served everyone in the kitchen before she ate. I think people have to understand that your health is your first priority and responsibility. You can only be your best version of yourself when you're healthy.
So, as we talk about the Indian ecosystem, we are suddenly feeling and are hearing that ghee is bad for us, dahi is too heavy, rice is too much. And Indians are turning to quinoa and oat milk. What is your perspective on this?
Yeah, well, oat milk is not even a discussion point. It's like trash. People don't understand that it is so well marketed. But anyone who ever uses a CGM monitor, oat milk pushes up your glycemic index massively. And secondly, again, because I always give a reason before I'm going to trash something. And particularly, the only thing I'll trash in this conversation is oat milk. Look at the ingredients. There is no oats. It's oat slurry. It's not even real oats. It has no fiber, and it's filled with preservatives and additives. You're better off having almond milk or some other form of milk, or just do the coffee or tea black, but don't do oat milk. And if you can take normal milk, have normal milk. My point is there's no benefit for that at all. And in a country like India, which is metabolically unfit, most people, oat milk is your biggest enemy. Now let's talk about ghee and all of these things. Everyone is different. In India, we have an issue of fatty liver. So saturated fat, if you're a vegetarian, you're having saturated fats with a lot of carbohydrates. Okay, you have an issue with your liver. Now let's talk about Western cultures where you can be carnivore. You can have a steak, you can have chicken, you can have fish, and you don't have carbs because you have a little bit of veggies and fish because it fills you up. You're not going to have an issue of saturated fats making it difficult for your heart or your liver. So the issue is, as Indians, if we're vegetarian, okay, I respect that. While you should increase your protein, you choose your fats wisely. Carbohydrates and saturated fats don't go well together. So if you're having a roti and you're putting a ton of ghee on, and you're not physically active, and you're sedentary, you have an issue. But the problem's not the ghee. Ghee is a superfood. It's unbelievably fantastic. It's a great saturated fat. If I had to choose one saturated fat, it would be ghee and coconut oil. But the point is, just because it's a superfood, it doesn't mean you don't look at quantity and you don't look at quality. Now, quinoa, there's nothing wrong with that. If I want to choose to be local and eat local in my country, I'll have millets and I'll have rice. But today we're global. We have every possible food over here, and disease in a way is also global. So my point is, if I want to fit in quinoa, I will. But I'm not going to say I'm going to replace a millet with quinoa because quinoa is better. So the point is, I think these are overhyped and people are moving with these foods but not changing their lifestyle. They're like, oh, ghee is the best, let me have more ghee. But they're not looking at the quantity, they're not looking at their activity, they're not looking at their carbohydrates. So I think quinoa is a great food. I think rice is a fantastic food if you're eating it the right way. Quantity, more protein, more vegetables. I mean, some of the strongest people, bodybuilders eat rice to train. It's a great carbohydrate, and as long as you're using it the right way and you're combining it with the right lentils, legumes, veggies, and protein.
And what is the best way to consume your ghee? What is the best way to have it?
So some people have it raw. They have it in the morning on an empty stomach. If they have constipation issues, it's nice to start your day with fat, protein, and fiber. So that's a nice way to get it. Some people make their eggs in it. Some people marinate their chicken and fish in it. Some people add their rotis and rice. These are all different ways. There's no good or bad way. This depends on how people want to get it into their system.
No, but you said that actually putting it on a roti would not be the best way.
Too much. Of course, we can put some. But now, again, let me state India's problem. I put ghee on my roti. I'm having it with my sabji, my dal, and my protein. Fantastic. But I'm also having a portion of rice.
Which also has
So
some
I
ghee.
have a carbohydrate overload. The ghee is not the problem. The problem is I have saturated fat with more carbs on my plate. Your heart doesn't like that, and your liver doesn't like that. But now let's say I was taking a piece of chicken and putting a teaspoon of ghee and marinating it all. That way, and all I have on the side is some broccoli or sweet potato or some veggies on the side. My body's going to behave very differently with that because the carbohydrates are literally minimum.
We want to know Luke Coutinho's version of the Indian thali. Right? Where there is dal, there is sabzi, there is some sort of grain. How would you design it?
I think we have our protein in place, okay?
Which is
now, your dal and rice, your dal and cereal together is the protein. Dal alone is not the protein. Yeah, it's not a protein alone. Dal is carbohydrate. It's got amino acids that have to combine with a cereal to complete the amino acid profile. So it's a complete protein when I have a rajma and rice or rajma and millets. It's a complete protein when I have dal and rice or I have dal and a cereal, whether it's millets or quinoa or whatever I want. It has to be a combination. So the Indian thali is actually very scientific, but we've kind of given it a bad name because we overeat it or we've changed the macros on it. So I have my vegetables, sometimes two types of vegetables. Fantastic, great source of fiber, two different variants of nutrition. I have my carbohydrate source, which is either a rice or a roti, not both of them together. Now, if I want both of them, then I reduce the portion. Then I have my lentil, my beans, either my dal and my beans for my protein. I have my paneer, or if it's a non-vegetarian thali, I'll have my chicken, or I'll have my fish, or I'll have my crab. Okay, it's actually a perfect meal. It's got everything in place. But what we tend to do is, today if you look at the thali, the middle of the thali is filled with a heap of rice. That should be lesser. The roti can be one or two, smaller in size. You can put ghee on it. But you want to make sure what's in the little katoris around that is your maximum veggies and your maximum protein. Then it's a full balanced meal. So that's how we have to look at our plate. Now let's move from a thali to our regular plates. That's how our regular plates should look. So for lunch, I do want to have my carbohydrates. Okay, but I want more protein on my plate. I want more veggies on my plate. And I'll start having my veggies and my protein first, and then reach my carbohydrates. I want to have a dessert, I'll skip the carbohydrates. So there's a way to fit everything in. It's just about choosing. If I want to have a dessert after my lunch, I'm not going to have the rice. I'm not going to have the roti. I'll have my veggies, I'll have my protein, and I'll have a dessert.
And will dal and roti do the same work as
Yes.
dal and rice?
It is, because it's a cereal, wheat. So if wheat suits you, the combination of a cereal and a dal will make a complete protein.
Why is gluten, wheat, not suiting so many people today?
Because the way it's processed has changed, the quality of it. You know, it's no longer shade dried. The agricultural way of producing it is very, very different. A lot of farmers don't eat their own wheat that they produce. They'll eat something called kapli wheat, which is emmer wheat. Doesn't have a great color like wheat. Like when we look at our rotis, we want them fluffy and whitish. But if you look at kapli wheat, it's a darker color, more dense, more fiber. The gluten molecule is weaker, which means we have the ability to break it down. But that's not the only reason. One of the biggest reasons are people have weaker guts. Because we have weaker guts, we can't break down the molecule of gluten. So it doesn't suit a lot of people. A lot of people do very well without gluten and wheat. But for the people who stomach it beautifully, they have the right amount of stomach acid, which is where digestion starts, and their guts are strong enough and versatile enough to break it down. So quality matters of our wheat as well.
There's a lot of conversation today on fermented foods and that, really playing its beautiful benefits to the human body. And I think in the Indian lifestyle, fermented foods are staple. Idli, dosa.
Yeah.
What is the best way to have that?
I think it's beautiful, but unfortunately, a lot of people now who see fermented foods as dosas and idlis, they also see them as carbohydrates. So they cut out that full food group. But I mean, India is amazing. We have so many other different forms of getting our probiotics and our prebiotics. We'll get our prebiotics from, which is another Indian staple, raw onion and that little green chili with a plate of cucumber and stuff like that, prebiotics.
Really?
Fantastic sauce. Then our pickles made the right way. So a lot of homemade pickles where people control the amount of salt and oil, it's fermented. Then you have your sauerkrauts, you have your kimchis, which are available today, and you have your rice kanjis. This is India's superpower. And people are scared of doing it because they think the rice is the carb, but you don't have to have the rice. So what you do is you cook rice, cool it, and then you take the cooked rice and just put it in a mud pot, like a mud clay pot. Fill it with water and let it ferment overnight. In the morning, first thing, just drink the water. What I do is I take the rice and I mix 2 or 3 scrambled eggs with it. So I got my carb, I got my protein, that's breakfast. It's one of the best fermented foods. And it's not just in India. When I was working on a project in Thailand for breast cancer, a lot of patients, it's a staple, were given rice kanji water every morning. And I asked the doctor, for what? Gut health? They said immunity. They said immunity, gut health. No gut health, no immunity. Rice water, something so powerful. But people will think, oh, rice, carbohydrate, high blood sugar levels, etc. Doesn't work that way. So in certain parts of India, like Orissa and stuff, they actually add veggies to it. In the morning, they'll cut some onions and tomatoes and they just mix it up and cook it and they'll have it as their breakfast. So there's so much of wisdom, there's so much of science in Indian food. I think there's just also so much of noise and so much demonization of carbohydrates and Indian food that people are, like you rightly said, struggling for a quinoa, thinking it's better than something else. But the point is, slow down and look at what you have in front of you. So these are all of our fermented foods, but fermented foods are necessary for our gut health, one of the most powerful. Now, a lot of people say, but Luke, when I have fermented foods, I get bloated. So the problem is not the fermented food. That's an indication that your gut is actually messed up. And all the more you need to slowly ease into it. So slowly get your fiber right, then move to fermented foods, low FODMAP. But you have to reach a point where your body can take fermented foods.
What about kombucha? Does that work well?
It does. But people shouldn't overdo it because it does have residual amounts of sugar. All of it doesn't get fermented.
I would imagine.
But I would choose it over a Coca-Cola. I would choose it over an aerated drink for sure. To get some fizz, kombucha, it definitely is healthier than a normal aerated drink.
So I love something that you just spoke about, right, which is the Indian superfood. And I think there's so much global conversation about superfoods being blueberries and chia seeds. But what are the Indian superfoods according to you?
Oh, there are so many of them. We have moringa, we have A2 ghee, we now have sea buckthorn, which India grows some of the most in the world. We have superfood, millets is a superfood. One of the most powerful superfoods is millets.
Really?
And this has been scientifically proven in our own country for the GI levels and especially made for the Indian diet. Then Karela is a superfood. Fenugreek, which is your methi seeds, is a superfood. Now, people will think, but these are in my kitchen. They're superfood. Now, why? What do I mean by a superfood? When you have this, you get multiple benefits out of it. It's not a magical food. You get multiple benefits. I will tell you one more superfood which will become a superfood. Psyllium husk, which is our isabgol, will soon become a superfood because it's got the best combination of soluble and insoluble fiber. Again, people think it's only when you're constipated. No, it has laxative effects, but it's unbelievable for feeding your gut microbiome. So anything that has multiple functions has the potential of becoming a superfood. So when I look at a food and I can get so many benefits out of this, America has a very different way of looking at superfoods. Okay, so they take the most health benefits and they say, okay, this can become a superfood. It's also controlled with what you want to sell. So I always say anything that becomes a superfood becomes really expensive.
It's marketing.
It's marketing. So moringa is one of the cheapest ingredients in our country. In Amsterdam, it's one of the most expensive powders available because it's called a superfood.
What is the best way to consume moringa?
You can have it in powder form, but if you're living in a village or in a place where you can buy the actual moringa leaves, you know, in villages, they cook the leaf with the flowers, very rich in iron. Or you eat the drumsticks, which is found in your sambar stuff. Or if you want to buy the powder, you get moringa powder, you get moringa capsules, etc. My first choice is always from food. And if not, then you can get it from your moringa powders. You can mix it with your juices, with your smoothies, in your dals, in your curry preparations. So there are many ways you can get it into your...
And is this something you recommend doing every day? A
Again,
little moringa powder?
Again, like
Does
I'll
your
use
body need
myself
it?
as an example. I don't need it. So I won't use it every day. I don't really need moringa. I may need something else. My hemoglobin's good, ferritin's good, energy levels are good, touch with the hair's growing, you know, so I don't need it. But some people can use moringa. So again, just because it's a superfood doesn't mean we all need to use it.
I love that. I love that.
Do I need it? Like I know A2 ghee is a superfood. It doesn't suit my lipid profile. I'm more for monounsaturated fats. So I'll use a cold pressed groundnut. I will use olive oil on my salads. I will use a mustard oil because that suits my genetic profile. Although I love ghee, but because it's a superfood, it doesn't mean it has to serve me. So we have to make personalized choices about what we do. We cannot become consumers of the market.
But how does somebody sitting at home who doesn't have access to Luke Coutinho create this understanding for themselves?
It's very simple. They have access, if they want access to Luke Coutinho and they can't have access to me, they have access to all of my 1,000 videos which are created on YouTube. There's one decision I made when I started off my career. Whatever I teach my patient will be on YouTube. So no one's missing anything. What they may miss in a personal consult is my ability to get into your life deeper and maybe accurately address a root cause because we're spending personal time. But what I may teach you as the solution is all available on YouTube. We've always done it that way. And that's why we have people who've not even consulted or taken our programs, but they've reversed their diabetes. They've gotten out of autoimmune conditions by just following videos.
Wow.
I did this not to be noble, but so I could sleep at night. Because I hate the thought that I have a wait list of hundreds of people and I may not reach every one of them. So I feel by creating content, if people use it, I know it can change their life. And that allows me to sleep better at night. So that's the reason it's there. Everything I speak to a client will be available on YouTube. There's no hidden information that if you take a consult with Luke, you're going to get something that the world doesn't know. No, they may just get the personalized experience because I can spend time with you. I can get into your emotions. I can look at years of your reports and give you that, that holistic protocol. But there is no difference otherwise. Yeah.
So I want to take you back to the isabgol. And the reason I was smiling is because my grandfather had isabgol every single night. And he told us to. He advised that.
Yeah.
But is that something that you feel could solve the gut health that, everyone today is struggling with?
No, it can't, and it can. I'll tell you why. Like in a medium like this, if I say isabgol is good, trust me, even though what I say right now, it's not for everyone, people will still do it. And that's the issue with social media. Isabgol is great, but people with colitis, people with ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, it could be their biggest enemy. People with diverticulitis could be their biggest enemy. So there always has to be like that little disclaimer. I take isabgol every day. Touch wood, I have a great gut. I don't have constipation. I take it because show me who's meeting 27 to 30 grams of protein, of fiber every day in their diet. It's impossible. Now, let me also be very clear. If I'm a carnivore and I'm only going to eat steaks and chicken and a few veggies, I wouldn't take isabgol. I don't need it. So carnivores actually don't need fiber. There's no glucose response. They don't have carbohydrates. There's no glucose response. But we're talking about India, primarily vegetarians. Every carb you eat has a glucose response. That's where fiber comes in. And secondly, look at our Indian culture of eating. People have more outside meals than home-cooked meals today. People are roaming around with messed up guts. Ultra-processed food, late night, etc. That's where fiber comes in. Now I can guarantee you, and this is for the audience, you'll all love using Google and ChatGPT, etc. Put your entire day of what you eat into ChatGPT and say calculate your fiber. Most people will not even cross 10 to 15 grams. That's a big issue. That's where Isabgol comes in. It's a beautiful combination of soluble and insoluble fiber. There are two types of fiber we need, and the body needs both of them. So the soluble, gel forming, etc., moves cholesterol, moves a lot of trash out of our system, and the other feeds our gut bacteria. So they work beautifully together. So I'll have a teaspoon in the morning, and I'll have a teaspoon with my protein shake in the evening. And that's it. The rest of my fiber will come from my veggies. If I'm traveling, if I'm in Dubai, I'm in the US, and I'm just going to have a steak for breakfast and dinner and a salad for lunch, I don't have fiber. So it's very individualized. We don't have to put ourselves in these little boxes that I need 30 grams all the time, etc., etc. Plus, people who have weak guts, fiber can actually make it worse. So you got to start fiber loading very slowly. Start with 5 grams. Then after 4 or 5 days, take it. Because you will bloat up a bit. You will have a lot of gas. Your stools may change. So it's a slow process of increasing your fiber. But what your dad or your granddad?
Granddad.
What your dad is wisdom. It's wisdom. At that point, could we eat the amount of veggies that we ate today? Today we have the luxury of cooking 100 grams of veggies, etc., 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 and we're still low on fiber. And they didn't have ultra-processed food, etc., which is stripped of fiber any day. But that is literally a superfood. But the one thing about Isabgol, if you're having Isabgol, you've got to increase your water intake. Otherwise, it can actually constipate you because it actually pulls a lot of water from your inside. So you want to increase your water intake if you're having Isabgol. Always do it under supervision is the disclaimer I have to put. Yeah.
So just a teaspoon with water, mixed in water, and then
a whole glass of water. And you will increase your water in the day. So I like to add it to my protein shake because one of the biggest issues with people having protein is less water and less fiber. So in my protein shake, I will use a raw protein. I don't use flavors, additives, etc. Just a plain raw protein. The ingredient is raw protein. And I'll put Isabgol in it. I'll put raw cacao in it. And that's it. That's my protein shake. So I get fiber that way. Yeah.
What is your take on the GLP-1 drugs, Ozempic, Mounjaro?
So it's good and it's bad. The drug was designed, for a certain population of people with a metabolic syndrome, over 100 kilos, very high BMI, time bomb, high blood pressure, cholesterol, plaque in the heart, etc., etc. Works beautifully for those people. I've seen literally medical miracles over there. People dropping from 150 to 100, blood pressure gone, diabetes gone, everything gone. Need it. If they didn't have that drug, they've tried everything, nutrition, etc., etc. If they didn't have that, they would have a cardiac event. They would, or they would have a CKD. Now, it's made for a small population of people being misused by majority of the rest of the people. Today, we have people put on a GLP to lose 3 or 4 kilos. They don't have high blood pressure. They don't have diabetes. They're lazy. They don't want to put in the work. They get into a GLP. Or they've done the wrong diets. They've overtrained and they've said, nothing works. Give me a GLP. We have to understand the mechanism of a GLP. What is it? We already have a natural GLP-1 hormone in our body. We produce it. That's how a drug was made. It's a mimic of our natural hormone. So it improves insulin sensitivity. It delays gastric emptying, so we feel full longer, satiety, and it reduces our appetite. All right? What people have to understand is what happens when the drug stops. No doctor can keep you on the drug for a lifetime. So the issue is we have a pharmaceutical solution being misused for a lifestyle or a behavioral problem. That is the issue. Does it come with side effects? Absolutely yes. Can they be managed? Absolutely yes. Are people managing the side effects? No. And that's where we're seeing this entire population of people who are responding very negatively to it. Some of the side effects, muscle wasting, the biggest, 22 to 40% of muscle wasting. That's a bigger issue for women and men because that will upset their hormonal profile. So if you're not strength training when you're starting it, if you're not looking at your protein, I'm not talking about high protein. I'm not a fan of high protein diets. I'm a fan of adequate protein. So if you need this amount of protein, take it. It's not about high, it's what you need. Then you have gut problems. So people who already have gut problems who are starting the drug, their gut gets worse. Sticky stools, sometimes no stool, sometimes constipation, nausea, vomiting can be managed. Can be managed. The biggest issue, you don't have an appetite, so you eat less. What happens when the drug stops? So if you're not making behavioral changes while you're on the drug, I have people who have gone into depression post GLP-1, not because of the drug, but because, I'll give you the situation. Person started a drug, started losing weight, getting compliments from the world. Everywhere they go, wow, wow, wow. Every human loves compliments. Suddenly the doctor tapers down the drug. The appetite comes back. They can't control it because they couldn't control it before the drug. The weight comes back on. These people slip into depression. They don't leave their homes. They stop socializing because once you're used to compliments and now your body changed because it became your identity. You got compliments for who you became, not who you are as a person. And now you can't go back out in public because, society can be equally great with compliments and the same society can be equally cruel with pulling you down. What happened to you? You put on all that weight again and stuff. So we have people in depression. If GLP-1 is being used, it is mandatory for pharmaceutical companies, number one, to start telling, I'll have a lot more respect for them if they say, take GLP-1, but you have to change your lifestyle. They're not saying that. That makes any consumer think that they're going to come back on your drug and they're going to take the drug over and over again. But if you tell them, take the drug and change your lifestyle, people are more educated. If doctors administrating GLP-1, and there are a lot of great doctors doing it the right way, I'll give you the drug, you have to change your lifestyle. I am getting you off the drug, the weight will come back on, so you have to change your lifestyle. And there are many doctors who don't do that. Come back again, take a break, we'll put you on another one. There's a new drug in the market, we'll put you on another one. That's my take on GLP-1. There's negative and there's positive. Great for the right market, a huge issue for the market misusing it. And we're going to have quality problems in our country because now it's going to be opened up in our country. And you know what happens in India. There'll be imitation drugs, there'll be without prescription drugs, there'll be black market drugs. I mean, the biggest issue is you see ads of Ozempic on TV. So it's influencing people's minds already that there's a shortcut. It's teaching you that I have a shortcut, so stop changing your lifestyle, stop doing this. That's the biggest problem. We're creating a generation that's actually going to get sicker if it's misused.
But why will the doctor stop giving the drug? You spoke about this case of depression. The depression hit because they stopped consuming the GLP-1.
No.
But what if...
No. The doctor has to stop the drug. You can't take it continuously. They have to wean you off it. So they taper it down, wean you off. Now, the patient couldn't change their lifestyle. The appetite came back. They started eating. They couldn't control themselves.
But why does a doctor have to taper it down?
Because that's how medicine works. You can't give, like a steroid. You can't give a patient a steroid. That's the biggest issue with autoimmune. When there's a flare-up, you take the steroid, you get better. But the doctor has to start tapering you off the steroid. And then flare-up comes back again. That's how medicine works. It cannot be permanent. So that's where the issues come. And people start putting on weight and now they're depressed. The GLP has not made them depressed. It's them putting the weight back on again. And how people are going to look at them. That's caused the depression.
So say there's someone who comes and says, I will make the lifestyle changes. I want Ozempic or Mounjaro. I will make the lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
What does that mean? How does that work? Is it not harmful for their system in that case?
Every medicine has a side effect, but you mitigate or you reduce the side effects when you change your lifestyle. So number one, the person may want it, but are they a candidate for it? They have to be a candidate.
No,
for it.
they want it from the purpose of weight loss.
Yeah.
And
but they have no metabolic issues.
They have no metabolic, they don't have diabetes, they don't have high blood pressure. Just sort of in layman words, is that I'm assuming that if someone is not losing the weight while working on it or working out, there is a metabolic issue, right?
No.
No.
A metabolic issue is when we have high blood pressure, we have insulin resistance, diabetes, and cholesterol, skewed lipids. That's metabolic syndrome.
Okay, so none of them.
None of that. So again, the point is, why do you need it when you don't have a problem? Number two, so the person will say, but I've tried working out and I tried nutrition, etc., etc., etc. All right, go into that. How much did you really try? How consistent were you? Were you doing the right plan? Were you doing the right exercise that suited you? Try. You know, in America, before you could do a surgery, okay, and this is the time I was in the US, before anyone could do a surgery, bariatric surgery, you can't just do it. For 6 months, You're given a nutritionist and a trainer, and you have to actually prove that nothing's working for you. Then you get the surgery. We need that mechanism for this drug as well. That's where the misuse is. Because see, it's a psychological thing. If you're using it as a shortcut, what makes you think you're going to change your lifestyle and behavior after the drug is tapered? Now, there are many people, okay? I know there are many people already doing it. So my advice to you, if you're on it already, is strength training. 2, learn to behave around food, because the drug will stop and your appetite will come back. 3, work on your gut health. Extremely important. If you have a thyroid problem, keep checking your levels and keep informing your doctor if there are any fluctuations of your thyroid level. Number 5, understand, put it in your mind that I'm taking this drug, but I will be off it one day. So what lifestyle changes do I have to make? So strength training becomes your biggest friend with this. And of course, your diet. How do I balance my protein? How do I balance my fiber? So that's how it is. And see, there will be, I want to be honest about this, there will be more side effects that present itself over time. Like of the COVID vaccine, it presented itself after a long time. It will for this drug as well. So please use it judiciously. If you need it, use it. If you're using it as a shortcut, you may just want to kind of figure out, maybe I'll try for 3 months to really get my lifestyle in order. And if the weight moves, that's something more sustainable. Now, I will also address another problem of women, which is, because I do understand it is extremely different, very difficult for women. A lot of women get judged on their weight. That affects intimacy. That affects a lot of their self-esteem. And that's why they say, Luke, even if I get that 5 kilos off, I'll be motivated to work out. I'll be motivated to change my lifestyle. I do understand. That is a very valid point, but then do it the right way and do it under medical supervision. Yeah.
And say there's someone who's gone ahead and doing this, right, under these circumstances we discussed. In that case, what are the side effects you can expect or assume?
Every patient reacts differently. Oh, and some patients don't even respond to them. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. There are many patients who don't respond to Ozempic, Manjaro, some of them don't even respond at all. So like I said, muscle wasting is 1. 2 is you have the Ozempic face. What is the Ozempic face? So because you're losing weight rapidly, you lose a lot of body fat, but you also lose collagen. So that's why the face kind of sags. A lot of women come and say, Luke, I've lost weight, but look at my body. I don't want to take my shirt off in front of the mirror. My fat's sagging, it's whatever and stuff like that. That's what happens when you lose weight too fast without strength training. So if there's strength training, what we advise our patients, and a lot of doctors say, hey, Luke, we're starting this patient on Ozempic. And I say, Doc, do you need to start it today or can we get a month? So sometimes the doctor, it's immediate and they have a metabolic syndrome. Start. We'll start the weight training parallelly. Some they say, yeah, we can start after a month. In that month, we get them to start weight training, building muscle, etc. So then you're not wasting muscle from your existing skeleton. You already have put on some amount of muscle. So there are ways to mitigate the side effects. We check thyroid levels again. We look at TSH, T3 and T4 before they even go in for these drugs. So there are ways to mitigate it. I'm not going to give you a negative perspective. I think the biggest thing is the misuse of this and the people thinking that it's the magic drug that will solve all their problems alone.
So I'm just going a bit deeper in this, don't mind me. But see, it's not the magic drug, right? But what if it is? What if it's just a simple solution? Should someone be opting for this or avoid it completely?
If you're the right candidate for it.
No, you're not the right candidate for it. You're doing it for weight loss.
No one should ever take a medicine if it's not meant for them. This is a medicine. It's a pharmaceutical drug. We shouldn't forget that. It's not a simple solution. So if you're not a candidate for it, you shouldn't be taking it. It's not designed for that purpose.
It's not designed for weight loss.
Exactly. You have to use the right tools to solve the right problems. So that's why it works beautifully with a specific group of people. Now I have 2 groups of people. I have some women who took it for 3 to 4, 5 kilos and stuff like that. And, the doctor actually shouldn't have given it to them or counseled them more, but they took it. They lost the weight, they're motivated, and they're maintaining it beautifully. I have another group of women and men who have taken it for 4 to 5. Not change their lifestyle and behavior, and every 6 months they're flying into Dubai or London or somewhere else to get another doctor to give them drugs. Now you tell me which one is right or wrong, right? So it can again be used as a crutch, but it cannot replace lifestyle and behavior.
I want to now chat a little bit about women's health. And, it's on many global platforms that I know you speak at as well. It's spoken about how women's health is sort of a huge problem that the world is dealing with currently. and is going to deal with just because of the lack of awareness around it, right? And the different stages that women kind of come across in their life hormonally that really impact their health. And there's just not that much learning and education around it. What do you think is the biggest threat to women's health today?
I think sleep deprivation and chronic stress. And I'll take it across ages. You look at a young girl who has PCOS, and there are many young girls who don't have PCOS. What are they doing differently? It's not genetic. It's not genetic in nature. You will find a group of people, young girls, middle-aged women, women in perimenopause and menopause, have two commonalities: sleep deprivation and chronic stress. Now, I don't mean to put this as a problem on women. It's the right reasons why they are sleep deprived. They're juggling so much, they're doing so much, some of them feel unsupported, etc. Or young girls studying more, compromising sleep at the age of 15 to submit projects. Once in a way, it's fine. Every day, it's a metabolic disaster. These are the two things which are the biggest problems. And I'll base my answer on simple science. When cortisol and adrenaline is elevated, it's a stress hormone. It impacts estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, androgen, every other hormone that is tied in with the hormonal health of a woman. So you look at endometriosis, excessive estrogen. You look at gut issues during period cycles, low progesterone. Look at infertility, inability to conceive, low progesterone. What is the mother hormone? Pregnenolone. And that is influenced by cortisol and adrenaline. That's the simple science. So now I know people, but Luke, life is stressful, but I have to do so much. I agree, but that is your root cause. Now I can divert you and say there's this food, do an HR, all of that is secondary, but the root cause is this. So there is a population of women who will identify this and make changes in their life. They'll try to get that extra 30 minutes. They'll try to learn how to relax. They'll try to learn to let go of things that don't serve them. And they get the immediate response. The other population who can't change these two will be the one that looks for the next drug. There's nothing wrong in that because everyone's life is different. They look for the next treatment because they need the next symptom to be treated. But the root cause is all our hormones, not just women and men. They balance automatically every night we sleep. So if I'm sleep deprived, I wake up with a hormonal imbalance. If I'm chronically stressed, yes, stress is real, but the point is chronic stress is our choice. It's our choice. Someone may say, Luke, my mother is in hospital dying. Okay, it's an event. Being attached to it continuously is chronic stress. Accepting that, yes, what's the best I can do? It will bring sadness, it will be grief. These are human emotions. Mindset again. Perceiving everything as a threat is chronic stress. Now, you and I can look at Mumbai traffic. We can see it as a threat, or we see it as something we accept. The people who see it as a threat suffer every day. The people who see it as, it's Mumbai traffic, it's the way it is. It's no longer a stress factor, it's no longer a threat. So the point is today, since we're speaking about women, I'll speak only about women's safety is threatened in a huge way. That is what nervous system dysregulation is. When someone's safety is threatened, you're living in fight and flight. You're living in survival mode. In survival mode, the body cannot rebalance. It cannot repair. It cannot grow. So all the amount of medicine and HRT in the world can give you better symptoms, but it cannot fix the root cause of the problem. So even HRT works better on people who are changing their lifestyle. The doctors can microdose and get them off way faster. So the point is, most women today, most humans are living in survival mode. And unless we learn how to be in survival mode, we're resilient. But how soon can we move to, from survival to parasympathetic? So that is the baseline of hormonal dysregulation. Oral contraceptive pills, the symptoms disappear while you're on it. Finally, your doctor says, you've been on it too long, now we need to get you off it. Get you off it, the acne comes back, okay, what's the next drug? Let's look at Aldactone, let's look at all these drugs. You're never really, you're being treated. You're never really moving into recovery or healing because the basics are missing. So chronic stress and sleep deprivation. I will add the third, vaping, smoking, overuse of recreational substances, which is huge, has a direct impact on hormonal health. And then we have ultra-processed foods, not a little bit, of course. A bag of chips is not going to hurt you, ice creams now and then. But eating ultra-processed food, 10-minute swiggy, late-night meals every day are the worst foods you can eat for your hormonal health. But stress and sleep deprivation, chronic stress, are the two biggest contributors of hormonal imbalance.
So there's two Masooms that are activated right now while you say this, right? One is saying, I believe you and I know it in my bones that this is true. I'm living the life and I know that it's all stemming back to chronic stress. But there's another Masoom that's kicking in and saying, this is easier said than done. Because at any point of time, there are a million tabs open. There is. And, look, I'm in Bombay right now. And life in India is so fast. It's so fast. I've been here for a week. And the coordination is out of control. It's absolutely out of control. So even while I'm sitting with you, it's so sad. But I have thought about 11 other things that are irrelevant to our conversation today because there's just that much that I have to coordinate or take care of. And I have 2 babies. And it's just, I don't know, it's just how we've made life normal for us. So there is that path that goes and says that this is easier said than done. So give us practical ways on how to implement what you're saying.
So again, perspective. It is easier said than done. It is, like most things in life. So we have to look at this. Are all women suffering from hormonal issues? The answer is no. What's the difference between these two groups? They're making different choices. Now, if we could say all homemakers have lesser hormonal issues and all business women have more issues, okay, it's not true. The data isn't true.
It's not true.
It's mixed. It comes down to our personal choices. I love that you can be so vulnerable and bring out your own thoughts while you're on this and stuff. And that's a dysregulated nervous system, not for you, for everyone, because we're wired all the time. The impact. So we get a choice at every time in life. Like, do I want to continue growing or do I want to slow down now? No, I have so much to offer the world. But if I'm choosing that position of ambition and to move faster, I got to make myself bulletproof. How do I make myself bulletproof? So when CEOs are moving into new roles, their companies come to us and say, hey, Luke, this guy's getting promoted to a CEO. He's going to be on jets. He's going to be traveling cities, whatever. He can't lose his health. I need you to optimize his health. What do? Do I give him more garlic and ginger? No. We make them more bulletproof, which means if this is going to be your role that you've chosen for the next 5 years, how do I prepare you? Right after Operation Sindoor, I had the privilege of addressing parts of the Indian Army, the IAS officers, etc., the most brilliant 4 hours of my life to learn how these people manage stress. They're constantly in enemy mode. How do they relax? Are they sick? Do they have the issues that we have? No, because they have medical tests every 3 months. There is a way, and it all comes down. It's easier said than done, but we make our choices in life. We choose our hearts in life. It all comes down to looking at my plate today. What is important to me? Where am I leaking energy on things and people that don't matter? Cut. What should I accept that I cannot change? I'm from Goa. I'm always wired in Mumbai. It's the environment, but I accept it. And because I'm aware of it, I create more relaxation in my day. I will take in breaks in between. 8 patients, gym workout at 12 o'clock, relax, cool, sauna, next takes 8 patients. In Goa, I can see 8 patients from morning and another 8 patients in the evening because I'm in a different environment. I'm calmer, I'm peaceful. We have to adapt to our environment. The point is we can't become victims to our environment. So when you know you have so much to do, what are your non-negotiables that you need to focus on? So for me, sleep is a non-negotiable because I can't see patients if I'm sleep deprived. I can't give my best. My workout doesn't have to be an hour, could be 20 minutes. So you have to make your personal optimization plan to make you bulletproof and then take the world on. Do as much as you want. But if you're taking on more, but the foundation is weak, you know you're going to have that point where you break or something in your surrounding breaks. There'll be a family issue. There'll be a kid saying, you don't spend time with me. Not you, in general. I'm telling you what I see every day. Or you'll see your health deteriorating, or you'll see intimacy issues pop up in different parts of life. So we can make ourselves bulletproof. First, cut yourself away from the noise of the world, what everyone's doing. This is my life, this is my ambition, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do to support that plan. And you only do that. So in life, there will always be some things or people that we have to accept, let go, or surrender. If we're not doing any of these 3 things, it just tells us one personality trait that most humans have. We're trying to be in control all the time. And that is the biggest drain of human energy because we are not in control. You're not in control what happens in the next 1 hour.
Absolutely.
But I can intend and plan my day around it. That's it. What goes out of control, I can't do it. If I'm going to be late, my patient's arrived. There's no point stressing in the car. The only action is call up the patient. I'm stuck in traffic. I'm sorry about this. We can start the consult right now, or we can reschedule, but I don't want to waste your time. Done. My stress is over. What's he going to think of me? What's he going to... Unnecessary. Accept action. So it's easier said than done. But the point is that is the statement that prevents most human beings from choosing their hards. You know, the word sacrifice is actually a beautiful word because everyone's sacrificing. We always have to sacrifice something of lesser value for greater value. So if my health is valuable, I may have to sacrifice these French fries today. If spending time with my daughter is valuable to me, I may have to sacrifice seeing 2 or 3 patients or saying no to an event. That's lesser value for greater value. We have to choose the sacrifices that we make in life. But if we're not choosing, we're trying to do everything because we think we're in control and we want to be in control. So it actually comes down to self-introspection, and people have to choose their heart, because everyone isn't getting sick because of stress. Everyone isn't getting sick because of sleep deprivation. People are making choices. So that's how it's like pilots. People say, Luke, we don't sleep, but all pilots sick. All pilots unhealthy. No, there are some super fit ones and super unhealthy ones. What are the difference in choices that we're making?
So, Luke, if someone watching this can change one habit tonight after watching this episode, what do you think it should be?
Sleep. It will be your sleep. Or let's say, we're not even taking a pillar. I think the one, before change, reflect. Is the life that you want in alignment with your actions? Like if I want a life of freedom and independence, I want to work from a beach and I want to travel, do I have the right actions today that's aligning to my dream? Start with that. If the answer is yes, then take the next thing. If the answer is no, you already have your answer of what you need to change. I want to live along. Most of my patients walk in, Luke, I don't want to lose my ability to move.
Longevity.
Yes, I don't want to lose. I don't want to be dependent on people in my old age. They'll say this. I don't want to be in a wheelchair. Great, I hear him out. Now I'll say, let's look at your actions today. Are they aligning with your goal? Because I don't believe in preaching to patients. And they'll find that, no, that's your plan. This is your goal. This is what you're doing today. If we change this, we're in alignment. If we continue with this, we're disaligned. You don't need a supplement. You need to first align. So it's so important that people start with reflection. What do I want? You know, the value of any person or anything in life is its ability to help you live the life you want. So like, if this is a mug of beer, all right? Is it helping me to live my best life or the life that I want? If yes, drink it. If no, why am I drinking it? It's no value. If I want to buy a fancy car or a what, etc., everyone has their choice. Is it helping me live the best life that I want or the life that I truly want? If yes, please buy it. If no, I'm doing it for social comparison. That's how we look at value. So we never motivate people for health. We help them find value. We help them position value in their mind. And then you align action automatically. Otherwise, you're just preaching to people. Everyone knows they should work out, take less stress, etc. So that would be my best advice to people today. Just reflect. What is that life I want? Are my actions in line with it? No, 1 or 2, let's just work on that. That's it. So if it's sleep, it's sleep. If it's opening up in a relationship and being your authentic self and expressing yourself, do it. Everyone wants the best relationship. But most people are living in a relationship walking on eggshells because they're afraid to express and be who they want to be. So you want the best relationship, you're probably in it, but one of your actions are not aligned with what you really want. And it's the same thing with health. So that would be my advice first, to start off from that angle.
Thank you so much, Luke. I am so inspired with our conversation today.
Thank you.
There's just so much to think about. But I'm actually going to start with the very last thing you said. So I think that's where I'm going to start my action.
I'm happy you are, because I'm sure a lot of people watching this are, it's going to take inspiration from you following this point, and personally, let me know how it goes for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much,
Thank
Luke.
you so much for this
being
platform and your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching or listening all the way through. I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. It helps this show reach more incredible people like you, and most importantly, get closer to our goal to build an incredible community with the Masoom Minawala Show. My goals with this show are audacious, and you all are the most important part of this journey. I want to create for you. So tell me what you want to hear. What stories could change your life? I read every single comment, and your reflections honestly help us shape where this show goes next. I'll see you in the next one.